What is it about you now that you now said, hey, find your voice?
When we don't speak out, when we don't share our truth, we hold ourselves back.
Is that you are chained to this memory and these thoughts. And
she doesn't call us storytellers, she calls us story healers. I just found myself wanting to understand, how could two people behave like that?
In our minds, we think it's there. But think about it. It's not happening right now.
And she said to me that the word hope stands for hold on, pain ends.
It's just our minds putting us and projecting us what could potentially happen. Maybe someday it may not.
Find someone to share your story with. It's never too late to find your voice.
Was it nature or was it nurture?
Write your story down and read it out to yourself, because we have to, as you say, accept.
Is that my belief as a coach is that everyone has all the resources within them to become the best version of themselves. This is Curtis McCullom with the Curtis McCullom Show, where we delve into the mindset of top CEOs and entrepreneurs actually around the world. These founders and entrepreneurs kind of share with you what it takes to be and become the best version of yourself. Bespoke Human Potential Coaching sponsors this show. Bespoke helps CEOs and founders and entrepreneurs eliminate those blind spots they've been kind of dragging around since childhood. These blocks that kind of been keeping them from reaching their full potential. So if you feel like you're a little stuck or like something is kind of holding you back, don't wait. Please schedule a free clarity call with me today using the link below. Let's uncover what's actually standing in your way and get you moving forward. And by the way, if you're enjoying this show, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a review. Your support helps us reach others who are ready for to transform their lives. Today in studio, I have with us Madeleine Black. I mean, her story within itself is so encouraging, not only to CEOs, but just individuals around the world, that what she has to share with you today. Madeleine, she kind of empowers people to find their courage and their voice through storytelling. And she features herself in the Unbroken, Healing Through Storytelling. Madeleine, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Curtis. It's lovely to be here with you.
Yeah, it is really, really good to be here with you and for you to kind of share your story with the world and what you're doing and how you're doing it. You know, all of us have had journeys. You know, we can kind of look at our journeys and say, what was that one moment or that one moment in time that kind of changed our lives? Mm-hmm. And I know there's one in your life that kind of changed your life. So kind of give the audience a little bit about the history of who you are and how did you get to where you are today?
So sure. Up until I was 13, I was just a normal, average kind of young woman. I went on a night out with a girlfriend. My story is one of sexual violence. I tried alcohol for the very first time, and the night went horribly wrong because we were taken back to my friend's mum's empty flat. We both had lied about where we were staying, which I'm sure most people have done at some point in their life. And sadly, the two men who took us back to the flat, you know, they weren't there to help me. They weren't there to take me out the clothes I'd been sick in. They proceeded to rape and torture me over a 4 to 5 hour period. Wow.
But that is a story. So it's like, how did you now move from that? I mean, that's horrific in a lot of different ways. And a lot of people have, first of all, a lot of people have experienced that, maybe not to your extent, but they've gone through something like that. So kind of what do you have to share with them now?
Well, I would say that, you know, I didn't get to the place that I'm at overnight. It's not been a sprint. It is a marathon. I've had many, many years. I'm nearly 60 now. So, you know, it's happened a long time ago. But I've done a lot of therapy. I've done a lot of healing. But I think the biggest thing that changed my healing and coming to terms of everything, letting it go, I suppose, was when I found my voice publicly. So I spoke out. It'll be 11 years ago this September when I started to share my own story to the public. That just really allowed me, I guess, to shatter my shame, you know, because shame, it loves secrets, it loves judgments, it loves darkness, but it can't exist if we shine a light on it. And by me sharing my story, I'm shining a light on my shame, and it just reduced it so much to the point that it's just diminished my shame. I no longer care who knows what happened to me. I will no longer carry any shame about it.
Well, I think that's very important. I think one of the things I kind of teach my clients is that one of the first healing stages of anything they're going through is acknowledging it. Meaning, like, and there's a passage in the Bible in the book of James. He says, confess or acknowledge your faults one to another that you may be healed.
Yeah.
And I think what you're sharing here is kind of tantamount of that, is that first, when you start to acknowledge that you were violated, that immediately start the kind of the healing process. Is that kind of what you're sharing here?
Yeah, absolutely, because it's very common for people that have been victims of sexual assault, rape, sexual abuse, to diminish what happens to us.
Right.
You know, we say it wasn't that bad, we minimize it, and we kind of depress it. That's, you know, the meaning of the word. We push it down far away from our consciousness, but I know that what we don't speak about, it leaks out of us. So it comes out of us in other ways, in our behavior, in our patterns, in our unhealthy habits, our mindset. And I did all of that for years. And I had to really get to a place where I thought, okay, they didn't kill me. I am alive. This did happen. It's not a reflection of me, which I thought for many years. I thought, but this was my shame lying to me. I thought if people knew that they wouldn't want to know me, they would look at me differently, they would be disgusted, they would see the worthless, broken, contaminated person I incorrectly thought that I was. But that's not true. It's not true at all. It's just been the most amazing journey since I've spoken out, and no one has ever spoke to me with disrespect. It's actually helped so many other people. I was helped by people sharing their story. And, I'm now helping other people to find their voice as well, because courage is contagious. If we speak out, it helps somebody else to find their voice as well. So that's why I do what I do. But for many years, I diminished it. And it was only, as you say, in the acceptance that I really was able to come to terms with it and realize I'm not my body. I'm not what happened to me. All of us are more than the events in our life. And I was able just to be at peace with it and just let it go so I could live my life.
Yeah, and that's so important. I think that's really important for the audience to hear. I mean, obviously, on your end, it's really a horrific thing that happened to you. But think about like this, too. This happens to individuals every day.
Every day.
Maybe something happened in their life, in their past, when they're kids. That's what I talk about, blind spots, from 0 to 5. Something happens. These blind spots are created. And then they become shameful. Then we have guilt. Then we have shame. Then we have I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. All of these other limiting.
No, I did all of those. Yes, all of those. Tick, 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 tick.
Right. So it's like that. That's what I'm saying. Is one of those things that kind of snowballs. And so, yes, what you went through was horrific. But guess what? Sometimes people go through even smaller things and have a negative effect on them that they still carry around this shame. So now it took you years to find your voice. So what is it about you now that you now said, hey, find your voice? That's kind of your story.
Yeah, because I really think when we don't speak out, when we don't share our truth, we hold ourselves back. It occupied so much space inside of me. And finding my voice just really was the most terrifying moment in my life, but the most liberating moment in my life. Because it was well, here I am. This is me. Right. This is what happened. You do with it what you're going to do. I don't care anymore. This is who I am. So I was offered, when I first shared my story, it was with an organization called the Forgiveness Project, because there is an element of forgiveness in my story.
Right.
The founder of the organization, the Forgiveness Project, is a woman called Marina Cantacuzino, a journalist, and she said you could be totally anonymous. You don't need to put your face, your photo or your name. But I was just so tired of being ashamed for a crime that was committed against my body. Why should I still carry all that inappropriate shame for years, I know we're not supported by society in crimes of sexual violence because there's so much rape blaming and victim blaming and rape culture. But I just thought, no, if I'm going to share my story, I'm going to share it. So I did. And I did 2 TEDx talks. One was here in my little office in lockdown, but one was to 3,000 people. And when I stood on that red circle, I just thought, now it's not about me speaking, it's about who is listening. How can I now serve other people by sharing my own story? Who is listening that's going to, the ripple effects, where will it reach? And I've had so many people come forward, and share their stories and their journeys. And Marina, actually, she has this beautiful saying from the Forgiveness Project. She doesn't call us storytellers, she calls us story healers. And I have felt the power that comes so many times when we share our stories. Just too many cases to, name them all. So many people.
Now you're talking about healing and you're talking about forgiveness. Mm-hmm. How will a person actually come to that level of true forgiveness, really? Number one, they have to forgive themselves, and number two, they have to forgive the perpetrators. How did you come to that part?
Well, I always say I was an accidental forgiver because I was just filled with rage and hate and bitterness, and I plotted these awful fantasies in my head against them. I wanted somebody to kidnap the two of them, take them to an empty flat, tie them up, beat them up, rape and torture them for 4 or 5 hours so they would get it, that impact is not one night, it's decades. But it kind of happened by accident. A seed was planted in my head, and I just found myself wanting to understand, how could two people behave like that, towards another human being? They weren't much older than me. And I want to be clear here and say I'm not a forgiveness preacher. I don't tell people the only way to heal is to forgive. And I'll never forgive the act of rape, because it is a total violation, not just on your body, but your mind and your psyche. But the idea just came to me that I was harboring all this anger. They had no idea. It's like drinking poison and expecting them to be sick, but actually you're drinking the poison yourself. And it was just a way to really cut the chains that tied me to them, to bring me peace. It stopped me from growing. It held me back in the past. And it was the one thing I could do that was about self-love, self-empowering. And just really my key to freedom was that decision to forgive them, because I really came to a decision that people aren't born rapists. I don't believe that these two young men came into the world as rapists. I'm now a grandma. I was present when my granddaughter was born. She came into this world full of love. Nothing else. She was born from love. There's nothing else. But somehow they got corrupted and they got conditioned, and their experiences just made them who they were. And I felt compassion, because I thought, I've done a really good job of living my life as best as I can. I nearly didn't become a mum, but my best revenge was becoming a mum. I had 3 kids. Now I am a grandma. And so, my best revenge continues. But I thought, to live with what you do to another human being, that's not an easy journey. And it was always, when I look at the word forgiving, it's for giving me a better chance. It's always for me. I just had to forgive myself for being a naive 13-year-old girl who had a night out that just went horribly wrong. It was nothing personal. They didn't set out to choose me. It was just the way it all lined up that day. But it was always for me, the forgiveness. I didn't really need to meet with them. I didn't need them to say I was sorry. I could make that decision in my heart quietly.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing about forgiveness. I think you really kind of summed it up, is that you are chained to this memory and these thoughts and these things. And you like working hard to harbor this hatred, and they're going about their own business.
Absolutely.
And you're the one still in prison from your own thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And as soon as you said, okay, enough is enough, let me cut the chains of this and let this go, that's when everything really started to kind of move forward for you too, right?
But it did come at the end of a lot of therapy. Okay. And it really was when I could just have a lot of understanding and a lot of compassion, and it's when I accepted all that was done to me. And really, it just brought me peace. It just really allowed me to just let go. I thought, well, they didn't kill me. I'm still alive. And if anything, because I was so close to being killed, it has given me the most enormous gratitude for having my life. I'd never have met my husband of 42 years. I'd never have had my children, never been a grandma, all the amazing things I have in my life that bring me just joy. I just appreciate being alive so much. I'm so grateful.
Wow. You thrown around that word grateful and gratitude. Kind of share with the audience a little bit about that, because that's so important on your journey of forgiving and having this gratitude kind of to keep you moving forward. So can you share a little bit about that gratitude?
Yeah. So, the first time I had to be really grateful towards one of them, there were 2 of them, was when one of them stopped who I called the worst one from really finishing me off. He was really quite determined to kill me. They made about 3 attempts. And I had to be grateful to this man who had done the most unspeakable things to my body. And that really hurt my head. That really confused me. How can I be grateful? On the one hand, he's done this, but then he kept me alive. And eventually I just saw that, I had a teacher for many years, a man named Imaho, who's now passed away. He was a shaman. I went for about 20 years. I was his student. And he used to say that the earth, world, whatever we've been here, it's been in existence for billions and billions of years. And if we're lucky, we're maybe here for 10 nanoseconds. And what are you going to do with those 10 nanoseconds? Did I want to hold on to all that hurt and disappointment and anger and revenge and all the rest of it? Or did I want to live my life? And I saw that, it's where we put our attention. It's always about where we put our focus. I could look at everything that I don't have, or I could be grateful for all that I do have. And they actually showed me, by nearly killing me, that life is for living, and I'm going to live my best life. I refuse to be identified by what they did to me.
Wow. And that's powerful for the audience to hear, is that part of your journey is having this level of gratitude and being thankful, and now looking at the fact that you've been married now for 42 years and you have 3 kids and you have a grandchild or grandkids. Or
just one little 6-month-old. She's gorgeous.
Oh, boy, how exciting. So you have all these things because of that moment. And so you have so much to be grateful for. Yeah. And I think that's what people need, is hope, knowing that the smallest things sometimes can bring us hope.
Yeah.
Just the fact that you're still, like you said before, your life was spared, and you could be, he did some horrific things, but he didn't kill you, and you're still here. So you can be grateful for that.
Yeah. I had an amazing guest on my podcast show who tried to end her life by jumping into a river off a very high bridge in Australia. And she said to me that the word hope stands for hold on, pain ends. And I just always remembered that. I interviewed 123 people, whatever it was. Right. And that never left me when she said that. I just think, we don't stay in the same place forever. It is really possible. Even when you think, I'll never get past this, it's impossible, I'll never get to where she's at. It took me, work. I had to dive into the darkest chapters that I kept hidden from myself for years. But pain does end. We can really heal. And not just heal, I think now I have post-traumatic growth. We can really thrive in life as well.
That's interesting what you just shared, is that the growth that you've experienced and the hope. I think you said hold on, pain ends.
Yes.
Wow, that's beautiful. Basically, you've gone on all of these things, and you said that it was a journey and it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
Kind of share that with individuals, because I think sometimes people think a journey, regardless of what it is, what have we gone through? This is life, and it is kind of difficult. It's not easy, but you made it through. So talk a little bit about the fact of your journey.
Well, the last time I really went to therapy was when my eldest daughter became the same age that I was, and all my memories returned. Everything that I had locked, sealed tight in a dark room at the back of my head opened up, and I really thought I was going mad. I was studying psychotherapy and I was doing loads of personal development, but I had also worked at Women's Aid for years and rape crisis. I was now studying to be a psychotherapist. And I really thought I just had digested other people's memories, because I just refused to believe that these belonged to me. And I would just be triggered all the time. Anybody that looked like one of them, smelt like one of them. I couldn't drive past the building that it took place in. I would be sick. I would shake in my sessions. I would cry. It was just like going straight back to that moment. My mindset was just one of self-loathing for years. I had depression. I had an eating disorder. I was in a children's psychiatric ward for 6 months when I was younger. I tried to end my life. I had fears, phobias, anxieties. It goes on and on and on.
Right.
It's just no self-worth, no self-belief, no self-confidence. Just thought I was a worthless, broken person. So really the journey, I guess, is just coming back to who you were born, that real essence of who you are. That fire in your belly, it never goes out. It just gets covered up with all of this trauma stuff. And it was just unearthing it, finding that the pure essence that we're born with, it's always there. It's just hard to find sometimes.
It's so difficult to find sometimes. That's why when working with individuals, is that my belief as a coach is that everyone has all the resources within them to become the best version of themselves. And my job is not to help fix you. You're already whole. I just got to help you now see who you truly are. And I think that's kind of what you're sharing, is that the essence of who you are, the being that God created you to be, is still there. And you just have to kind of reignite it or refine that person. Correct?
Yeah, the trauma just occupied too much space inside of me. So when it was able to put it to one side, it's like, okay, so who am I now? It was a bit exciting, a bit scary, but a bit exciting, because it just was. It walked alongside me. It influenced everything that I did, because fear was my big friend for a long time, but I decided to break up with fear. I didn't. No, we're not friends anymore. I just thought, there's two acronyms when I think of fear: false evidence appearing real, which I did for years, or face everything and rise. And I just thought, I've done that first one for far too long. It's time to try the second one. So I didn't realize at the time, but I put myself through kind of exposure therapy, because years ago, everything that scared me, I just avoided. I thought that's just the way that people did stuff. Just don't do the things that scare you. And now I dive into the trickiest of situations, or the scary things that I used to avoid. And I realize fear is just part of my imagination, because the worst thing had already happened, right? Everything I was scared of had happened, or everything I'm imagining that could happen hasn't happened. So I had to find a way to stay in the here and now, right now, connect into the present moment. And guess what? I'm okay. I'm really okay in this moment. Nothing else is happening to me.
Right. And I think that's really important for us to understand. Fear, basically, I love that. False evidence appearing real. In our minds, we think it's there. But think about it. It's not happening right now. It's just our minds putting us and projecting us what could potentially happen. Maybe someday it may not. And we have this feeling that's overcoming us, that we need to kind of break through and kind of continue to move forward. And you had the courage to do so. So what would you share with others to kind of get to this point, to kind of finding their voice? What would you share with them?
I think I was very lucky. I think I was born to super survivor parents. So my father was a Holocaust survivor, and he lost all his family. His youngest brother was just 6 when he was murdered in Auschwitz. My mum had her neck broken during an operation and was bedridden for a few years, but she listened to a hypnotherapist on the radio and sacked all the nurses and healed herself. So I saw from a young age that we can overcome adversity. It doesn't have to define you. And when I was writing my own book, I read the book Super Survivors. There were 2 co-authors, and I contacted them and I said, is it hereditary? Is there a gene in me because my parents overcame? If you met my dad, you wouldn't know that his whole family had been murdered. He used to muck about. He loved life. He was always doing practical jokes and downplaying with the children at every wedding or whatever. He was just as loved life. He said life was for living. And they said they don't know if there's enough research yet that we have a gene in us from our parents that are super survivors. But watching how they lived and how they overcame, that will influence you. So I think I was very fortunate that I had these strong parents. But now we have access to podcasts, to YouTube, to apps, to interviews. There's so much that we can watch that can influence us. So I guess be careful who you surround yourself with. Are you with drains or are you with radiators? Where do you go, and where do you put your energy in, and how do you care for yourself? Is there self-care, or are you sabotaging everything? Because I sabotaged for years and years, didn't think I expected anything better. It's all I was worth, and just walked into negative situation after negative situation. It's really important to stop denying your story. Find someone to share your story with. It's never too late to find your voice. It doesn't have to be a therapist. You could speak to a friend. And if you can't find someone, write your story down and read it out to yourself, because we have to, as you say, accept. We have to stop minimizing and denying and saying, it wasn't really that bad. I don't really think it was rape. It was okay. It was just, it was nothing. But it's not nothing if it affects your life.
It's definitely so. I love the fact that you were asking the question, was it nature or was it nurture? that actually garnered this strength within you. And I think, I mean, based on my studies now, I think it could be both.
Yes.
I mean, the fact that basically in your genealogy, that your father overcame one of the most horrific things that ever happened in history, and overcame it and saw things that he should never see. And then your mom was able to kind of gather this energy and utilize one of the modalities that I teach of hypnosis, is that using the power of her mind to now heal herself. So I think when you look at all of these things and you understanding those things, I think it could be part of nature and nurture that actually brought you to this point, whichever it is. You know, I thank God for you for being who you are, and to be able to share your story today with individuals.
Thank you.
So what would you like to leave with the audience today, Madeleine?
I would just kind of reiterate kind of that point at the end. It's never too late to find your voice. It's never too late to live your best life, your happiest, your most authentic life. And when we don't speak out, we really do hold ourselves back, you know, and there's nothing to be ashamed about. Whatever the trauma is, the shame never ever really lied with us. It always lied with the perpetrator. And go out, find someone to share your story with, do the work. It's not easy to dive into the darkest chapters that we want to avoid. Yeah. Do the work, heal, and get on with your life, live your life.
Yeah, beautiful. I love what you just shared with the individuals, is that, number one, like I was telling you, one of the things I share with my clients, anytime they're feeling any type of emotional fears or shame or whatever that is, acknowledge it. Because once you acknowledge it to the world, it kind of, it loses, I think you said before, it loses its power.
Yeah. Sit down and make friends with it. It's fine. It's okay.
Right. It's like, hey, I hear you. You know, this is, and I always tell people, don't acknowledge it as a part of you. Like, you know, I'm broken. Now, the situation that I was in was not good. It was broken, that situation. Or put it as something outside of you. It's not you that's having this fear or this anxiety. Basically acknowledging the anxiety is totally not, that's who I am. I am not afraid. I'm having fear, which is totally different than saying I'm afraid. Basically owning it. You don't need to own it. Just acknowledge it and not own it, and kind of move forward. Once again, Madeleine, thank you, sweetie. I mean, you are, you know, just positive energy. What you share with the world is so valuable, to let people know that it's never too late, and it's not the event. It's just a part. It was not the event. It does not dictate our lives. It's just an event. It's just a time in our space in our lives that caused this. And then you also talked about letting go of the shame. And I think that's one of the biggest things that people just need to say, hey, I don't own this. Just let it go.
Definitely.
Once again, we'd like to thank you, Madeleine, for being a part of the show. Also, we'd like to thank our listeners for listening with us. All guys, remember that success comes when you embrace the legit mindset. That's kind of, you think about what Madeleine gone through. What she did was she began to learn. She began to grow and expand, and she transformed this horrific incident to something that was powerful, a movement, something that she can share with the world, that she can help others. That's what the legit mindset is all about. Always learning, growing, expanding, and transforming, regardless of what happens in your life. It's a learning experience. At the moment, it may not feel like it. At the moment, it may feel like, oh my God, this is the worst thing in the world. But at the end of things, it's something that we can all learn and grow and transform from every day. Now, if this episode kind of resonates with you and resonates with Madeleine, do you have anything that you'd like to share as far as your website and things of this before we leave?
Yeah, you can find me on social media. Just search me. My website is madelineblack.co.uk, or any other kind of social media platform, you'll find me.
Yeah, go out and look at Madeleine. I think you have one or two books out there still, Madeleine, or?
I have one book called Unbroken, because I really believe that none of us are broken beyond repair.
Amen. I love that. Basically, I love that. So go out, get the book, go out and search for Madeleine. And then obviously, if you need some help, this is the top things that I do, guys. This is kind of, I help people go through these things easily and effortlessly and not have to wait 20 years to go through it. Let's get it done immediately. We don't have to wait this long to kind of go carry it. But she did find her way, but you don't have to do that, guys. You can do it now. So if you need a breakthrough or some blind spots that kind of holding you back, use the link below and schedule a free clarity call with me. And if I can't help you, I can point you in the right direction of people who can help you. But let's unlock your full potential together. My name is Curtis McCullom. Make it a great day. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the show.